What can believers
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
I just want to tell you guys I do enjoy really listening to you.
Investigators are working around the clock to retrieve the wreckage of the two aircraft that collided in midair and crashed into the Potomac River. It's 6 o'clock. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. No survivors were found alive after a passenger jet with over 60 people on board collided with an Army helicopter carrying 3 soldiers. Divers have found the cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder from the passenger plane. A Cleveland area woman returns to the TV quiz show Jeopardy tonight. Allison Gross was a winner on the program last year and returns now to compete in the program's Tournament of Champions. Gross is a graduate of Beechwood High School. And Ohio's official weather prognosticating rodent has his big day coming up this weekend. Buckeye Chuck will be poking his head out of his burrow in Marion this Sunday on Groundhog Day to let Ohioans know when nicer weather will be on the way. I'll be right back with sports and weather.
Boundless Show.
This is Lisa Anderson, and coming up this weekend on The Boundless Show, a listener struggles with OCD and is wondering how can they deal with this from a Christian perspective. One of our counselors will answer that. And then for our roundtable, tips for clearly communicating with your friends. That's all coming up this weekend on The Boundless Show.
Hang out with Lisa Anderson and friends here on Moody Radio Cleveland. Boundless, Saturdays, 3:30 p.m. Boundless.
In sports, the Cavaliers blew out the Hawks 137-115, and the Blue Jackets edged the Golden Knights 2-1. In our Moody Radio Cleveland forecast, showers today with some patchy fog, highs in the upper to mid 40s. Doesn't that sound nice? I know I say that every time the temperature's above freezing. Right now, light rain in Cleveland, it's 40 degrees. Akron, fog and 37. Worcester has fog and 35 degrees.
It's time for your moron moment.
As if Fridays couldn't get any better around the office, National Fun at Work Day falls on the last Friday of January. Whether you work for a small office or a large organization, injecting fun into the workplace is a great way to bond with coworkers, boost team morale, gain inspiration, and even increase productivity. So rally around your coworkers and celebrate National Fun at Work Day. You just need to bring the fun. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 6:02. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
hit me like a ton of bricks.
Wow.
And then I was there setting up for our ribbon cutting, big shenanigans, big party. And then I didn't even get to go to it because the same thing.
Oh, no.
I was knocked out and didn't get to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All this time you've been looking forward to the transitional housing.
I know.
And then when you get the big event to cut the ribbon, nope, can't be there.
I was there all day setting up. Everything looked perfect. And then, I mean, there was no way I could have come in.
Well, that's terrible.
I know. It was really sad.
That's terrible. Yeah. And when I was a teacher, I had the same thing where you'd get sick in the fall and then you'd be fine the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like Bubble Boy now. I don't get out anywhere. So something's going to hit me like a ton of bricks at some point.
Yeah.
Now, for those who don't know, again, Jaime Buxton works for City Mission, which is a donor-funded, 100% donor-funded,
100%.
follower of Jesus-oriented / Christian organization that helps those who are experiencing homelessness or crisis.
Wow. Yeah, I'm giving you a bell for that. Great defining. You hit all the big things.
I
Yeah.
did. Okay, good. And I, not just because it's in Cleveland and Cleveland's the best, but it's one of the best organizations like that in the country.
I think we're partial, but yes.
You all just did something amazing. Can you talk about that transitional housing? It's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So for 22 years, we've been serving women with children, and 100 years we've been serving men, 114. But, we were we've been seeing the trend that the face of homelessness, people experiencing homelessness, is really women with children. And there is not enough housing. I cannot say that enough. I mean, we have ladies and gentlemen for that matter, but ladies with families especially who are finishing our program. They are becoming employed. They want to leave. They're excited to be on their own and start afresh. And they're waiting another 12 months for housing. Affordable housing is just at an all-time low for individuals in Cleveland. And so we opened the first of its kind transitional housing for families in particular. So this isn't for single women this time. This is for women with children. And so it's safe housing. They will not pay to live in this housing. So this will be ladies who have been at Laura's home for with us. Usually that's 9, 12, 18 months. They're going to be able to transition into these amazing 1,000 square feet, 2 full bathrooms, 3-bedroom units right on our campus. And they're going to get to live there for another 18 to 24 months. And while they're living there, they're learning about becoming homeowners. So we're partnering with Habitat for Humanity and some other partners that we're hoping to gain along the way. But so they're working, they're saving money. This costs them nothing. They're required to save for 18 to 24 months. And then during that time, we're introducing them to Habitat. And so they're going to take homeownership classes, basic plumbing, more financial classes. But by the time they're ready, 18 to 24 months, they're going to be able to purchase homes with a low interest mortgage through Habitat for Humanity and become homeowners. And we are so excited.
How many units in this?
16.
16.
Yeah.
That's a lot more than I thought you were going to say, to be honest.
Yeah.
16. Me too. 16. And it's right on our campus. So those families, for the first time ever, and I say that pretty boldly, but I think that's very true. Most families that come to us are in 2 or 3 schools a year because they're constantly in transition and living in crisis. They will have been in those same schools for 3 to 4 years because of their time. It's huge.
Huge.
So we're so pumped. It's very exciting. This week, we've been putting together furniture, furnishing the apartments. We've been joking all of our job titles when you work at a place like the City Mission and all other duties as needed, right? And I'm like, that has been way overused these last few weeks. But
now, when do the women and children start moving in?
Any day now. Any day now. I mean, literally, we put together 4 full units of all of the beds and, cutlery and all of the things. Wow. So a couple hiccups with electrical work, but days away from this.
Can I
please
ask a question? When you're putting in the furniture and the cutlery and all that, this isn't like hand-me-downs and scraps from every Goodwill across Northeast Ohio.
No. These are all brand new furnished. And we...
Donor funded.
Amen. In
Love
fact,
that.
We are still coming up short for a few things for the transitional housing. So You can reach out to the City Mission.
thecitymission.org.
Thecitymission.org. There's all kinds of people, or just find Jaime Buxton on there and email me, and I will get you that specific list. But yeah, everything's brand new. Everything is the same, so that each
good.
unit has all the same products within it. And yeah.
So the way you're describing Habitat for Humanity, so it sounds like they're willing to work with banks to give special loans that are lower interest for people just starting out to purchase a home. That's amazing.
They're an incredible organization.
Well, that's how Christian community is supposed to work.
Right.
These women and children have been suffering. The least we can do is help them get something, affordable. And what I love about this too, Jamie, is so often what you see in society is people go, man, there is just not enough affordable housing for women and children. Huh. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
I wish someone would do something about that.
Yeah.
You guys were like, okay, yeah, we will. There isn't enough. We're doing something.
We are doing something.
It's amazing.
But I want to be really clear. As amazing as this is just a pebble being dropped into a very huge
It's
lake
not
of
gonna solve
issues.
it.
Right. I want to be clear. Last fiscal year, we had 13,000 phone calls of people saying we need somewhere to stay. And we're saying, I'm so sorry. We can put you on our wait list. 13,000.
Is that just for Laura's home?
That's just for Laura's
that's
home.
just for
That's women with children. 13,000.
And how many did
I'm
you
sorry,
house?
it's almost 14,000. I think it was 13,900 something. Couple hundred.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're there a long time.
Right.
We have 55 rooms, but the ladies who complete the whole program, most of them are there 9 to 12, some longer than that months. So for them to get stable, the ability to hopefully, one, learn about Jesus and make a decision for Christ in their life, right? And then start, kind of chomping, kind of getting working on the issues that brought them to us, and whatever that is. And everybody's story is so different. So we have partners that come in and help with mental health, addiction services, healthy relationships, you kind of name it. And whatever issue brings you to us, we want to help you overcome that. We want to help you understand it and name it and help you overcome it.
Amen.
Fantastic. This is why we love City Mission and what you all do. Yeah. And it wouldn't be hard for the church to solve these problems in our own communities if we were focused on them.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we get a chance to kind of cheer for you all. And I'm glad that Cleveland is leading the way. I bet you guys are one of the first to do this kind of thing.
This is very new. And I mean,
like nationally speaking?
Nationally speaking. I mean, truly, the way federal funds have been allocated over the last 20 years was getting away from transitional housing. It all went into rapid rehousing. If you are experiencing homelessness, you just need a home. And it kind of took away all the other services. Just get them a home, and then everything else will fall into place. And we say, ugh.
Yeah, that's totally upside down.
We want to give the gift of time. In fact, that's kind of our tagline this year, the gift of time.
Yeah.
The time to be able to think. When our ladies come to us, if a woman came in December and at the beginning of the year we were like, let's make a dream board for 2025, our ladies can't do that. They have been operating out of the tyranny of the moment for so long, crisis after crisis, make a decision, that they can't stop and say, if I could just have 3 months of rest, or I want to go back to school for this or that.
No, it's like, could I survive to next week?
Exactly.
Could
Many
I have
times,
a place
can I
to
survive
sleep?
today?
Yeah.
How am I going to eat today? Where are my kids going to sleep? Can I do laundry here? Yeah.
And I'm trying not to say it, but I can't help it. And then we have to take a break. One of the major obstacles to solving this problem in our own community is Christians who have the wrong vision and view of what the problem is.
Yeah.
So many people go, well, if you weren't so lazy
Right.
and you just work harder, this wouldn't be a problem.
Right.
And that's a lie from the pit of hell.
Thank you. Yes.
And it makes me angry, and it's pervasive.
Right.
People who may not say it, but in their core, they're like, yeah, I mean, if you just worked hard. If you think that laziness causes women to go to Laura's home and men to go to Crossroads, you are 100% wrong, and you haven't spent any time actually investigating this. And if you took a few moments to investigate it, it would change you.
It would.
And you would also, by the way, if you spent time in Scripture, you would see how wicked your attitude is, because that's not the heart of Christ. Whew, I got it out. Now I got to take a minute.
I was going to say, geez, Brian.
It gets me wound up. When I
love
hear
that it winds you up.
14,000
Phone calls
from women who are in crisis have nowhere to go.
Right.
And most of them couldn't get help from you all because you only have so much space.
Right.
That should rattle us. Mm-hmm. All right, I better step aside. It's 6:19. Follow-up Friday. We'll keep rolling here in just a minute.
Set up your phone or other calendar for Walkworthy, our annual men's conference on March 1st. Paul Cannings from Power Walk, Mike Frazier from Rejoicing in Truth, and Rodney Maiden from The Edifying Word will be speaking. And don't forget about the fellowship and worship music. We hope to see you again, or for the first time, at Canton Baptist Temple. Whether you want to come in person or via live stream, register at moodyconferences.com or text WALK to us at
440-546-2255.
How do you start your day? Ignoring your phone alarm? Grabbing a bowl of cereal? Well, what about this idea? How about exploring your Bible with Today in the Word, the daily devotional from Moody Bible Institute? There's a new topic or book of the Bible every month, something to encourage you every single day. So start your day right. Get into the Word at todayintheword.org. That's todayintheword.org.
We'd love to invite you to visit Moody's campus in the heart of downtown Chicago for Experience Moody, our campus visit day, on February 14th, March 28th, April 25th, or May 2nd. You'll experience life as a Moody student by attending class, meeting with students and advisors, and exploring our world-class city. We're excited to welcome you to learn more about whether Moody is right for you or your student. Register for Experience Moody at moody.edu/Experience Moody.
Moody Radio is thankful for support for businesses across the country, like Fellowship Home Loans. Whether purchasing or refinancing a home, Mike and Brian walk hand in hand with clients through the whole process. You can learn more about their approach to mortgage lending at fellowshiphomeloans.com.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Mercy Me, WCRF. It is 6:24 on a follow-up Friday. We love hearing from you. We're going to go to the phones here in just a minute. Phone calls are our favorite.
Yes.
Let me just we're not trying to embarrass you. We just want to chat with you. We want to hear from you, your thoughts and feelings, all those kind of things, your topic ideas, especially on Friday. It belongs to you. 440-546-2255. Also, use that number to get your tickets to the Walkworthy Men's Conference coming up Saturday, March 1st at Canton Baptist Temple. You can you get your tickets today by texting WALK to 440-546-2255. And tickets are flying like hotcakes, as I've been saying for...
Yes. And I
50 years.
Yes.
With all the digital AI artwork that you can do, I imagine we could type a prompt in and something about flying hotcakes, and they could create a really impressive picture for you.
Maybe I should. Nonetheless, text WALK to 440-546-2255. With us this follow-up Friday, Lauren's out because she's sick, but on rotation, we're back with Jaime Buxton from City Mission. Ooh. And I was getting a little ranty and a little excited all at once. I love what they do at Laura's Home. They just opened up a new transitional housing that can house a large group of women and children as they transition back into society because they've been going through so much crisis, and there really is no affordable housing available for people struggling today. And I went on a little bit of a rant because I'm so frustrated with Christian culture that somehow believes a political ideology that people are in poverty and are struggling in crisis, and it's their fault because they're lazy. It's a lie from the pit of hell. And that's how I feel about it at the end.
Bravo.
Thank you. But we do have a call here I want to be sure to get to. We have Anonymous in Cleveland. Anonymous, you wanted to comment on something with Laura's Home, is that right?
Good morning. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
please share with us.
I wanted to make it real for people that it's not just this organization, but my sister is actually there now and will be moving into one of those units that Jamie was just talking about.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Sorry.
You're going to make me cry too.
Yeah.
No. This I'm so glad you called because this is going to put a real story on this.
Yeah.
So please go ahead.
Yeah, no. And it was kind of miraculous that she even got in because it wasn't like Jamie was saying that it is really hard. And she had called before and there was no room, and she ended up going there. I think it was last June. And it was one of those really, really hot days. And anyway, she was able to get in, and it was only supposed to be for a couple of days, but she graduated the program back whenever that graduation was. And so she's still there now. She just started working. And, you know, I'm just so, she got out of she's there for her reasons, and I'm thankful that she is. And I'm thankful that Laura's Home exists, and that, you know, she has come to know Christ again and is just learning to walk with him.
That is so awesome. Thank you so much for calling. You know, I was at that graduation. I think November-ish, maybe early December.
Yep.
And it was one of the most amazing graduations because we had, 15 women probably graduate.
Yeah.
And we do messages with their kids now. But there was an older woman, and her son, who was into his 40s, came.
Yes.
And when she got up to receive her little gift and her certificate, he said, "That's my mom." And it was wasn't a dry eye in the house, because I think we forget, and even I can be, that there are people who love these individuals, these women, these children, the men that come to us, and they're part of a family unit, and maybe a family that's been worn out and tired and hardened by some of the circumstances surrounding their family members. And it is such a beautiful time to see what God has done. And so I'm so glad your family is a part of that.
Yeah, me too. so I wanted to just let listeners know that, this isn't just some organization that's out there. It's real, and it's making a difference, and God is good.
All the time,
thank
sister.
you so much.
Thank you so much, Anonymous. God bless you, and thanks for the call and for sharing your story.
Yeah, you too, guys. Happy Friday.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, and see, I have a tension in my heart, and here's what it is. I love what you're saying, and I agree with you, and I love her story. And yet there's, dare I say, 13,000 people who can't share that story because there aren't enough. Like, you guys can only do so much.
Right.
There's that much of a need in our own community. And the world, as things have changed and we have access to information so quickly, the world got big really fast. And I wish in many respects it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people struggling that could use Christian support just right in our own backyard here in Cleveland.
Yeah. And even just to take that a step further, it's not even just, I mean, it really is your backyard. These are your neighbors. The people that come to the City Mission are not just from the inner city. They're not just from Cleveland. Every suburb that I know, we've hosted families from. Because crisis can hurt and happen in any community. So I want to be very clear. We're sitting in Brecksville right now. We have had families from Brecksville come to Laura's home and be part of our program. So this is not just, down 77. This is everywhere. The crisis can hit anyone.
And some people, Jamie, would go, I don't understand that. And I can give you an anecdote from my own childhood where I remember my first job was at a grocery store. I was a checkout guy. Hated the job. Different story for a different day.
Yeah.
But I was 16. I was into soccer. And I remember there was a guy named Nathaniel who was on my team for a couple of years. Parents loved him, lived in a nice suburb. And I remember looking down and I saw his mom, a couple of aisles down, purchasing food with food stamps. Because back in the day, it was actual like certificates.
Right.
And I remembered that I was like, why is she doing it? Oh, his dad suddenly and tragically passed away. His dad was the breadwinner in their family. And they must have been like many Americans where they had no savings. He probably didn't have life insurance. They were destitute suddenly out of nowhere.
Right.
Because he suddenly passed away. They weren't lazy. They didn't do anything wrong, but they found themselves suddenly just shoved into poverty.
Right.
And I would imagine it's not the same story, but that is the type of story you encounter every single day.
Every single day we hear, I'm always amazed at how different stories can be. And some are in the same vein, but there are ones that are way big outliers. And yes, so yeah, tragedy, crisis can hit anyone unexpectedly. And what people have and don't have becomes very apparent very quickly. And so not everyone has an intact support system. I often talk about, if I lost my job and then my husband said, well, if without a job, I don't really want to be married to you and you can take the 4 kids. I have an intact support system. I have parents. His parents would take me on because I would have their grandbabies, right? And then I have a church community. I have a friend community. Not everybody has that kind of support system.
Some people have nothing.
Right. And if you've been raised in generational poverty, it doesn't mean you don't have people who don't love you, but you have people who don't have resources who can help you.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest fallacy that people have about people experiencing homelessness. So thank you, Anonymous, for calling in, is that they don't have anyone who cares about them. Well, they have people who care about them, but maybe those relationships are strained, or they don't have the resources to help them kind of pull themselves back up with their family members.
Such a powerful thing. And again, we love having you here. It's been a long time since we talk about what you actually do.
I know. I like it.
How fun that we kind of tripped into that. We love our friends at City Mission, thecitymission.org. It's 6:34. We'll continue Follow-Up Friday in just a minute.
At its core, Christianity is not about giving to God or doing things for God. It's about what God has done for you. I'm Darcy Harrod, and this is Pause for Prayer. This quote from J.D. Greer reminds us that Christianity is not about striving, but about receiving. We often get caught up in trying to prove ourselves to God, forgetting that salvation is not something we achieve, it's a gift we accept. At the heart of the gospel is the beautiful truth that everything necessary for our salvation has already been accomplished by Christ. Let's pause for prayer. Father, thank you for the incredible gift of salvation. We confess how often we fall into the trap of trying to earn your love or forgiveness by doing. But in Ephesians 2:8-9, you remind us, for it is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves. It is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. Thank you, Lord, for making salvation something we receive, not something we achieve. Help us rest in the finished work of Christ. Teach us to live with the freedom and joy that comes from knowing it is finished. Father, help us remember that our worth doesn't come from what we do, but from what you have already done for us. Like J.D. Greer said, at its core, Christianity is not about giving to God or doing things for God. It's about what God has done for you. The heart of the gospel is not spelled D-O, but rather D-O-N-E. Wow, Father, help us to rest in this truth, finding peace and freedom in Christ's finished work. Teach us to live each day in gratitude, sharing the beauty of your grace with everyone we encounter. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Moody Radio's thankful for support from listeners and businesses like Deerfield Ag Services. They help in adaptation of new technologies and techniques of farm and business management. More information about Deerfield Ag and how they can help is at deerfieldagservices.com.
Great gospel favorites and compelling conversations, all on urbanpraiseradio.org.
People say to me, Jonathan, I just didn't know gospel music could be normal.
urbanpraiseradio.org, available on your computer, phone, or smart speaker.
Join the conversation by call or text at 440-546-2255. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
SOS, I'm a castaway, trying to make it back home. Hope is far and I'm losing faith, thirsting deep in my soul. I fell for the lies that they sold me, a mirage that left my spirits broken. Now I need you to show me I'm not on my own. Tired of wandering alone.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Here we are. It's Follow Up Friday at WCRF Mornings with Brian. Would love to hear from you. Already had a great call from Anonymous in Cleveland. The number is ready to go. Call or text 440-546-2255. You can text in a topic or call in with a topic you want to talk about, follow up on something. I will say, I actually, as one of the follow-up items, I was gone on Monday. And on Monday, I just am a little disoriented in this part of our city, but I inadvertently drove past Laura's home and was like, oh, look, Sarah,
by.
It's Laura's home. That's where Jaime Buxton is.
Yeah.
Because you office out of Laura's home, right?
No.
No, you don't. See? Yep. That's not where Jaime is.
I office wherever they need me. I don't really have an office. So at home, but then wherever I'm at. But I've been at Laura's home this week. I was probably there building furniture.
Well, and see, I drove past because the place where the military entrance and processing service, or whatever the S stands for, is in a very isolated area near the airport where there's nowhere to do anything, like buy something or go to the bathroom or whatever, and you can't get in there until a certain time. And so we went driving just a little bit. It's right down the road from where my daughter swore in the United States Army.
Oh.
Did you even know that?
I didn't know that happens there, no.
Probably 5 minutes away from there.
Oh.
So we said goodbye to my daughter this week as she headed off to boot camp. And haven't heard from her since, which is normal. We probably wouldn't hear from her till Sunday. And then yesterday, I kept showing my wife posts as we're part of this Facebook group of people whose kids are actually at this particular
that's neat.
Base. I want to say fort. What is this?
I don't know. I know none of it.
There's a fort. It's Revolutionary War. Get the boats. No, she and a bunch of them got calls yesterday.
Oh, well, maybe it wasn't her turn.
That's what Sarah kept saying.
It wasn't her
turn.
turn.
Like brokenhearted. But anyway, so there was that happened this week. And thanks to all of you who were so kind and are praying for my daughter. So proud of her. It's wild. I'm not going to see her for a couple of months.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I really can't. Proud of her, grieving for you a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one positive to come out of it as a follow-up, what I'll say is I've seen a really special connection develop between her and both of her grandfathers. As my dad and my father-in-law both served in the United States Army. Mm-hmm. My dad was drafted, which I heard a lot about that experience as a kid, but he didn't go there willingly, so his experience was quite different.
Yeah.
But now that my daughter has enlisted,
mm-hmm.
both of them have shared stories that they've never even told their wives.
That's precious.
Yeah. Like, I haven't seen this kind of thing before, but they both are telling stories from boot camp and their experiences there that apparently are so unique that really only someone who's been through it, it's worth talking to them about.
Yeah.
Because my daughter told me a story about she went out with my wife's parents, and my mother-in-law got teary-eyed one time, and she looked at him and said, "That happened to you? I had no idea."
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That's really cool and really, really special.
And I'm seeing even veterans at church came up to my daughter and teary-eyed, and just many of them love their experience.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know. I'm just so proud. I'm a proud dad. Proud daddy.
You should be.
Okay, let's review a couple of things here so you know what we've talked about. Maybe you want to cover them again. When I was out, they talked about confrontation can be loving. So maybe we'll have Jamie confront me about something. Take some notes, maybe, Jamie. And then there's a New York Times piece about the way people use language today. Oh, it's all good. Oh, no, you're perfect. You're all good. And the reality is neither of those labels are true.
Right.
So what do we really mean? Kind of fascinating. Two fundamental questions we all must face as followers of Christ. Who am I and where am I going? Humans must face that question. And how about this one? Many of us are afflicted, at least, with alexithymia. We have trouble saying our loved ones' names. Like, do you ever call Sean? Or do you call him like Pookie Bear or something? Shawnee Bear?
I call him Shawnee Poo Poo.
I love that.
Oh, nice.
I love that.
So there's Sean in it.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, even like a term of endearment for Sarah is I just think Sarah Jean has a nice ring to it. It's her real middle name.
Right. Oh, it is.
But I would rarely just be like, Sarah.
No.
But there's power in saying someone's actual name, and we debated about that kind of thing. There's a Akron physician who was paralyzed, who's using his faith in the Lord to just give people hope and encouragement. We talked about him. Churches are using big data to be able to, like they're purchasing subscriptions to this organization, like 30,000 churches have done this, where they get access to all the information all the companies use who follow you around on the internet when you want to buy something.
Oh.
You know, you do one search for a new stocking cap and suddenly all you see are ads for that.
Yeah.
But churches are given information about vulnerable people who are lonely, going through crisis, and they get data on those people so they can try to connect to them to bring them to their churches. And we were debating the ethics of that.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know if I like
What's
that.
the next
one? Then we talked about the Super Bowl for mega nerds, which is there's literally for the esports arena in Las Vegas. They recently had the Microsoft Excel World Championships.
Microsoft Excel?
Yeah, like guys who are in finance were given a problem to solve and on a big screen, and there was huge crowds watching them like make spreadsheets and solve problems.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now that I'm not like the formula maker. I mean, I make real basic ones, so I'm not in that competition. But I can make a mean spreadsheet colorful and easy to read. Like that is my God-given talent.
No wonder you and Lauren get along so well.
I love an Excel spreadsheet. Anyone who works with me is rolling their eyes right now.
Well, Lauren, what she'd cheer for you if she were here. In fact, I'm not certain I've seen her that animated ever than when we were talking about that story. She's so excited. She's like, I want to go.
I would love to go. I love Lauren.
You two could do a girls trip.
I mean,
to the Excel World Championships.
Yeah. Lauren even said she'd pay $50 for admission. She'd go up that high.
That's her limit. But
$50. Yeah, me too.
Oh, wow. Look at you two. And then we talked about the president of Open Doors thinks Americans have a totally wrong view of persecution.
Mm-hmm. Well, I heard you guys on this.
Oh, boy, did that strike a chord.
I heard the beginning of this conversation, so I didn't hear how people responded to you. But I heard you.
Spicy calls, spicy text messages.
I'm not surprised. You were spicy. I liked it, but I'm just saying I'm not surprised.
Let's set that one aside. Weren't you going to be giving me coaching? Wasn't that what we talked about? Maybe that'll be what it is. How shame can obstruct forgiveness and trauma recovery. A lot of people respond to that as well. The idea of how really, if you don't deal with your own problem with shame, you may not be able to forgive well. I thought that was compelling, counterintuitive. We talked about the horrible tragedy in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Cedarville University student was on the plane.
Oh, I didn't know that.
A young woman. That's terrible. I watched the NBC Nightly News with my wife because we're getting old and that's what we do now. We enjoy it.
Yeah.
And Lester Holt, what a tender-hearted guy. He was teary-eyed almost the whole broadcast.
It's awful.
Yeah. Here's how old I'm getting too. I go, wow, this is excellent reporting. I said that out loud.
Yeah, you should have kept that to yourself.
I should have. It's terrible. A few more things, but we're going to take a break and get back to Follow Up Friday here. What do you want to talk about? 440-546-2255.
2 steak dinners for the price of one? Now that's a bargain. But here's something even better. You can help share the gospel and help others take their next step with Christ. How? A gift to Moody Radio. We share the gospel in plain language daily so listeners can know Jesus. And our teaching and call-ins help believers take the next step in their walk with Christ. It's a 2-for-1 deal you don't want to miss. You can give your gift now at moodyradio.org.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-659-9838.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-659-9838.
Love is in the air. Everywhere I look around.
Brian, you're handsome.
You are so right. You're so smart. You are a great thinker.
I will give you the Julie Slattery stamp of approval if it makes you feel better.
Not a bad idea.
You're sweet, Brian.
Oh, stop.
They did.
WCRF Mornings with Brian. You know, one voice I didn't notice in there. I don't think there was any Jaime Buxton in
I'm
there.
actually shocked because I'm probably the nicest person to you there is.
You're really nice to me.
I know.
You're the sweetest.
I'm shocked that I'm not in there.
Well, if you want, you could just say a few things real quick, and Ron could put them into a new montage.
They need to come out organically.
Very good. Well played, Jamie. Well played. Okay, it's Follow Up Friday, 440-546-2255. A couple more things to review quickly in case they strike your fancy. And I certainly have things I want to do.
Strike your fancy.
Yeah.
Flying off the shelves like hotcakes.
Yeah, you know.
Aging yourself today, buddy.
What?
Revolutionary War.
Get off my lawn. Okay, so there was 5 signs your relationship is functional but loveless, and this was where we chatted about. I had a Christian marriage therapist and her husband, who's also a marriage therapist, tell Sarah and I, in the midst of a marriage intensive, that only about 10% of Christian marriages are healthy and thriving. Many people simply see the bar. The bar is, we're not getting divorced. And if you succeed in that for a period of years or decades, you did it.
You did it. Yeah.
That is the floor, not the ceiling.
Yeah.
And for your marriage to thrive and not just be functional, it's hard work.
It is.
And it requires a level of vulnerability. And Daria, you talked about how it's easy in your young married situation to still get distracted.
Oh, yeah, it is. There's plenty of stuff vying for our attention, mismatched schedules. I think to an extent, going into marriage saying divorce is not an option might actually be harming us in a way, because we do think that not getting divorced is the pinnacle and we won something.
Yeah.
When maybe we're not divorced, but we're also not together, at least not emotionally.
And there's a lot of Christian marriages that operate this way, where you're a great team.
Yeah.
Kind of like a good friend. You're two good friends together. And the one that really is the sneaky one is in this that mentioned that physical affection feels like an obligation. Like there are hugs and kisses, but they're more like, all right, I'm leaving. See ya. Okay. I mean, Ron and I could do that, but we don't.
Thank you.
I was going to say, where are you going?
Greet one another with a holy kiss, right?
But to look your spouse in the eye, pause, and tell them how much you love them and have a passionate kiss is very different than the obligatory goodbye hug or goodnight kiss.
Right.
And yeah, there's just, you have to work to have a healthy and thriving marriage. And I shared as well that the scary part is I was expecting this counselor to be like, and you and Sarah are among the elite. No, she goes, if you guys keep working really hard,
you will,
I think you can get there.
But that's empowering. I mean, I think this is just a good reminder for all of us to take our marriages off autopilot. You get used to this person, you get used to the way things are, you take things for granted, and then you both go, wow, we're unhappy, disconnected, and lonely. Why is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard it, Jamie, but just a couple of days ago, after we said goodbye to our daughter, it had been maybe like 24, 48 hours. Sarah was the strong one in this, or she's hiding it really well. I don't know. I'm a disaster zone.
Aw.
And
not surprised by this information.
No, I mean,
it's just not in this. Just I'm a disaster zone.
Yeah,
right. Exactly. Well, in many ways, that's true. And so she was working out, and she was working from home, and I was in the basement doing some stuff, and I was like just ruminating and feeling horrible, and I was like, no, stop it. Like, stop standing shoulder to shoulder with your wife and go turn towards her. And so I went into her office and I sat down. And she just looked at me, and she was so sweet. And I just go, it'd be no surprise for you to hear I'm having a really hard time. And she goes, I know.
Aww.
And then I sat and I did the vulnerable thing, which was share, what does it mean that I'm having a hard time?
Yeah.
And she did what we learned in marriage counseling, which was not, well, here's what you need to do, Brian. Or here's a verse. She would say things like, oh, gosh, I'm so sorry you're feeling that way.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
I felt so much better.
Yeah.
Afterwards. Not that that's always going to happen, but that is the work it takes to get on the road to the 10%. And we're still on the road.
Yeah.
I would never claim that we're in the 10% healthy thriving.
good for you both that one, you were able to be vulnerable. Because, I have a really hard time with that sometimes. I'm kind of I like to be the Sarah, although I'm not always. But anyway, and that she responded in a loving way too. You guys both, ding, ding, ding.
We had a win. We have lots of losses, which is why we have a marriage counselor. That the last time we made an appointment, she goes, "Yeah, I thought it would be about time for you guys to reach out again." Because you can only go so long where you're
the
doing
wrong
fine.
job. Like, I want permission to say that kind of stuff.
Well, but that's the beauty of marriage counseling.
Yeah.
Is she has permission to say that.
Yeah.
She's like, it had been a while. I was just thinking about you guys. Like, I haven't heard from them in a while.
They're probably struggling.
Yeah.
They need my help.
In fact, she just, our counselor texted us both. Hey, it's been a little while. Here's a link to schedule another appointment if you need it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I can't. We all need people in our lives who have permission to be brutally honest.
Yep.
And in my life, it's been either very, very close friends that are rare or a counselor because you're actually paying them to be brutally honest with you.
Right. And I feel like it's even safer because you are giving that permission, right? You're paying the money. You're going to the place. Sometimes, what is going on with my voice? I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Sometimes friends, we're not always so ready to receive that. And might take me having a knee-jerk reaction, getting a little nasty, and then going, oops, I'm so sorry. Like, it's usually within the same 20 or 30 minutes, but I'm like, you can't. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Well, and it's also more fun to call somebody, be like Jamie calling up her friend where she's like, guess what Sean did? Be like, he did it again.
Yeah.
You're the best. He's a jerk. It's more fun to call those folks who just cheer for you.
That's so funny. Early in marriage, I used to call my mom a lot, and she's listening
I'm sorry
right
to
now.
laugh so hard, but
I know, but yeah, but that's what you do. I'm calling my mom. I can't believe he said that. But I was finding, in general, and I'm so grateful that this is a gift from God, that I'm a pretty quick forgive. Penny, not so much, and especially not when you mess with her baby.
Yeah, I get it.
So I would be done, like probably just saying whatever he had did and telling my mom about it cleared it for me. But then she's coming over the next time. So you still upset about whatever? And I'm like, hey, we got a real. So you can't tell mom because mom will hold that. And
I get it.
And I will do the same thing, I'm sure, for my future daughter-in-laws.
Yeah, I have a feeling that like if I could have coached Paul at all, he didn't need my help, neither does God. But it'd be like, love your enemies and the people that break your kid's heart.
Oh, yes.
Because to me, that's like just as hard.
It's
you break
terrible.
my kid's heart, I'm ready to have you drawn and quartered.
Never in my life did I think I'd be sitting on a football or baseball field and go, I really don't like that kid. That kid is. And the things that go through my mind, I'm like, what is wrong with you? You love Jesus. Stop it. And I'm like, but that kid, I mean, there's a but every time.
Yeah.
There's only a few. But yeah, and
I get it.
God's working on me. Sorry, everyone. That was a moment of transparency.
That's what we need around here. Gallup did a poll again this year where they take 23 professions, a big list of different fields people work in, and they ask a sample group of Americans to rate the honesty and ethical standards of people in those careers. This is why I love talking about these things, because you're like, oh, who did it? The top 5, medical doctors, pharmacists, military officers, grade school teachers, and number 1, nurses. Bottom 5, the last one being the worst: car salespeople, advertising practitioners, TV reporters, members of Congress, and lobbyists.
Oh my God.
Pastors are right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Yep, number 10.
Okay.
I would like to see that redone, like add another stage in there where out of people in these professions, how would you rank them? And then overall, how would you rank? Because I think everybody feels the people they know more often are honest and dependable.
Yes.
It's the ones that you hear about in the news, which typically are the 1% outliers.
Exactly. Exactly, Ron. Yeah, and that even goes with the persecution story we talked about before. If I bring up persecution against Christianity, you got people calling like, yeah, we're being persecuted. And then all I have to do is go, what about you? You ever been persecuted for your faith? Oh, no, never.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or they'll have an example that's actually not persecution, just someone was kind of mean to them one time.
Yeah, like one time I was checking out a grocery store and I said, Merry Christmas. And the person looked at me and said, yeah, Happy Holidays. Can you believe it? I should file a lawsuit.
You should.
Persecution. Lord help me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, we're being just a little facetious.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Sarcasm fun. And finally, the art of talking about nothing in a relationship. There was this couple that found a big chunk of cookie dough in their cookie dough ice cream, and they spent half an hour making up a story about how that happened.
Jamie's face.
I'm like, what's the rest of the story?
And the guy's like, this is what you need to do with your spouse is have like playful, silly conversations.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with. I just am not interested in 30 minutes.
Of cookie dough.
Like, oh, how did this happen? Oh, I bet in the factory they did this. Ha, 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 ha. I mean, and you play it out. That was 5 seconds.
Yeah. And by play it out, I mean Sarah fake laughs at your silly comment and then you move on.
So I think a more tempered version of that advice would be helpful. All right, 7 o'clock. We got Ron's News. Today's more Ron Moment. And then we'll continue with Follow Up Friday, 440-546-2255.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
A federal appeals court is striking down a federal ban on selling handguns to those between the ages of 18 and 20. It's 7:01. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. The ban has been in place since 1968. Thursday's decision from the Fifth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals cited a 2022 Supreme Court opinion that expanded gun rights. With Hudson-based Joann again going through bankruptcy, the company is preparing to lay off hundreds of Ohio workers. If Joann fails in an effort to sell, they have told the state this week that they will be prepared to lay off nearly 360 workers from their distribution center in Hudson. And the Akron Zoo reports that they are moving some of their birds inside in response to reports of bird flu in Ohio. The zoo says there's no increased risk to anyone visiting the zoo, and that as far as their birds go, the risk to them comes from native birds who land on zoo grounds. Sports and weather coming right up.
Whether you're investing, saving, paying off debt, going to college, or buying a new car, God's wisdom can guide our decisions as we're seeking to live as faithful stewards to advance His kingdom. Hi, I'm Rob West, host of Faith and Finance Live. Listen each day as I take your calls at 800-525-7000 on any financial topic. It's Faith and Finance Live on Moody Radio, weekdays at 4 p.m., where our faith defines our financial decisions.
In sports, the Cavaliers crushed the Hawks 137-115, and the Blue Jackets edged the Golden Knights in overtime 2-1. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Showers and patchy fog today with highs in the mid-40s. At last check, we had light rain in Cleveland, 39 degrees. Fog in the Akron-Canton area, 38 the temperature. And Lorraine, Elyria also has fog and 38 degrees.
It's time for your Moron Moment.
As if Fridays couldn't get any better around the office, National Fun at Work Day falls on the last Friday of January. Whether you work for a small office or a large organization, injecting fun into the workplace is a great way to bond with coworkers, boost team morale, gain inspiration, and even increase productivity. So rally around your coworkers and celebrate National Fun at Work Day. You just need to bring the fun. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It is 7:04 with Moody Radio News. I'm Ron Eastwood.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
7:07 WCRF. It's follow-up Friday. Can't wait for our Walkworthy Men's Conference. We're getting warmed up for this puppy. It's going to be great. Saturday, March 1st, Canton Baptist Temple, featuring Pastor Mike Frazier, Pastor Rodney Maiden, Pastor Paul Cannings. A panel discussion, which we're getting very close to finalizing the topic. I'm very excited about it. And there's Christian Chicken. There's Ron, Daria will be there. I'll be there for what that's worth. Probably say something awkward.
Probably.
Every year there's something I do that makes people laugh and I didn't mean to.
Well, that's actually every day.
It's kind of endearing.
It is.
Thank you. That seems sincere.
It was.
Thank you.
And mostly because I totally resonate with it. If there's something awkward to be said, it's you or me.
Yeah, that's why we're a great team. Look at us. So would you join us? Text WALK to 440-546-2255. One of the items I wanted to revisit is one that went bazonkers, as they say. A lot of people.
Bazonkers?
I don't think anybody said that.
I've not heard anybody say that.
You ever said that, Ron?
I don't believe so.
Bonkers.
It takes two people for me to say they.
Yeah, bonkers.
Well, where's the other?
Bazonkers.
Not one
Somebody's
of us.
about to text in 440-546-2255.
If you've ever said bazonkers.
Text or call.
Seriously.
Otherwise, as I say, it went crazy. Like people were, tons of reaction. We got phone calls, didn't even ask for them, although we always really would love them.
Yeah.
And text messages, again, 440-546-2255. And it had to do with a article in Christianity Today written by the president of Open Doors USA, which is a ministry that that reaches out to the persecuted church globally, kind of reports back to us here in the U.S. And the first thing we have to do is issue a correction. I messed it up the whole time. And Ron is so gracious that he didn't want me to be embarrassed about my mistake. That's not like seismic, but I was like, oh, yes, we have Todd Nettleton on all the time from Open Doors USA. Ron?
Todd actually works for Voice of the Martyrs. It's a similar group, similar work that they do.
But it's different completely. I put Todd in the wrong company for many years, or for the entire segment for an hour.
Yeah.
So anyway, I do know the difference, but I didn't then. Either way, both groups do the same thing. So here was his story. He's like, listen, I run this ministry that helps people for over 70 years experiencing persecution. And all the time, people look at me and go, is persecution coming to the West? Is it coming? Is it here? Are we getting it? Is it happening? And he said that two responses he's seen from that are either people shrink back in fear because they think it's here.
Yeah.
And they isolate themselves, form little enclaves of Christians, or they lash out and they fight in anger. And he said, not only are those responses wrong, but you're asking the wrong question. It's the wrong view of persecution. He says Jesus presents persecution as a gift. And it's a blessing. And yet we view it, the underlying assumption, he says, is persecution is inherently bad and should be avoided, or I would say, or fought against. And this wound people up. And I love it.
You do love causing bazonkers.
Yeah. Somebody texted in. They say...
No, nobody has
bonkers.
said... They both said no, never said bazonkers. Go ahead, stick with your persecution. Don't get...
Before. I do say bonkers.
Yeah, that's not the same thing you said.
Not the same thing.
I started a new trend.
No, you didn't.
For the young people.
No,
It'll
you didn't.
be, I'm the Rizzler.
We had a meeting, no.
Or this Skibbity.
Your Skibbity toilet. Your Skibbity, Ohio.
You've heard this?
I have 4 boys. You think
she doesn't know anything about Skibbity. It's a
I
new
have
slang.
4 boys. Of course I know Skibbity.
Yeah. It's a whole nother story. This is Skibbity Bonkers.
You said
Which means what?
Don't worry about all these details, Daria. So a lot of people wrote in, and I've been thinking about this a lot. I don't know, and this is going to be a little edgy, but I feel like it's biblical. So when I read scriptures, I see time and again the theology is you're going to get persecution if you're a follower of Christ. And the way you respond to that is you love people dramatically and you count it as a blessing that you're being persecuted. The end. So, like, let me give you some examples. My favorite chapter in the whole Bible, Romans 12, Paul writes, "Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position. Do not be conceited, and do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. If it's possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. And do not take revenge, my dear friends." And he goes on and on. If your enemy's hungry, give him something to drink.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't say, but if they try to take over Rome, get them.
Right.
Or, but if you're persecuted, fight. Fight for Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
No, he says the opposite.
Yeah.
Blessed is he who lays down his life for his friends,
Mm-hmm.
not punches the enemy in the face to protect his friend. And then you've got Matthew 5 is the biggest one. Who's blessed? The poor in spirit, those who mourn, those who are meek, those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, those who are merciful, pure in heart, peacemakers, and get it, persecuted. You're blessed if you're persecuted. You shouldn't try to stop it. Jesus said, "Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." And he didn't say, P.S., but fight them, get them. It's like, rejoice and be glad, but if it's real bad, or if they're fighting against me, get them, take them to court, punch them.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way, he says, let your light shine before others that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Or maybe if you just bludgeon them enough with your protests and your arguments on Facebook, you'll kind of punish them into faith. Get them. I don't understand people's view of persecution. I think this guy's right. The view of persecution is upside down.
Mm-hmm.
We are trying to stop it and make it never happen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think, and forgive me, maybe I'm off, but there's a big spectrum of persecution, right? And what most people who would call in here saying is vastly different than people in other parts of the world. It is what persecute you. So I'm not defining their experience as persecution, but if we're looking at the grand spectrum of severity, it's probably not the same as what people are experiencing in other countries.
Not only that, but the response is dramatically different. And this is what really got me. I've asked Todd Nettleton of Voice of the Martyrs multiple times to be sure I have this right. And he chuckles every time I ask him.
Mm-hmm.
I say, have you ever heard anyone in the persecuted church around the world, people who are, I remember one person, I think it was in Eritrea, spent a year with a group of people in a shipping container.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, did they pray the persecution would stop? He said, nobody ever asks us to pray for the persecution to stop. They always ask him when they go visit around the world, how can we pray for you? The request is always, give me strength to endure. Give me peace. Give me faith. Strengthen my faith. And I feel like as we do see it becoming more and more comfortable to be a Christian in America, our prayers stop.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Stop it.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, I might not even pray it. I might pull myself up by my bootstraps and try to do something about it myself to make it end.
Yeah.
I'm not saying apathy is the answer. I'm not saying do nothing. But the heart condition is so important here. Like, if I'm being persecuted for the Lord's sake and my job is to love my enemy and count myself blessed if I'm persecuted, my gut reaction is not one of lashing out in anger and trying to fight. And yet there's a significant portion of the church today whose disposition is, I'm fighting for Jesus in my country, and I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't know where that comes from.
I think we are just so privileged in modern society, and especially in America. Many of us don't know hardship. And so when the slightest inconvenience or thing that's even a little bit painful comes across our path, we think, well, how dare this happen? How dare God make this happen? But also, I think we have a wrong view of what's actually happening.
Yeah, this is why it's so disorienting, right? It's like not only is there disagreement on what persecution is, and I think a lot of people call persecution, which is just like really just being a little slightly inconvenienced or uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say it is persecution. Where is someone getting the theology to fight?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think, because we're not used to pain in the spiritual sense, I think we kind of behave like wounded animals who are going to strike back. But I also think that is a uniquely American thing. Americans have this incredible fighting spirit, which generally is a good thing. But
spiritually is not a thing.
Yes, God calls us to be different.
And now here's the other part. Do I like that? No.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not called to like it. I'm
Right.
called to obey.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm going to conform my life to Christ, my disposition must be like lavish love for my neighbor, even if that neighbor is my enemy. And to view persecution as a blessing that will deepen my relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's not the prevailing view in the church today. In
No.
America.
Yeah.
And I'm disoriented because I don't understand where the theology would come. I understand where the logic comes from, where the political or ideological thinking comes from.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, other than Jesus flipped over a table, which don't even get me started.
Yeah.
I don't know where it comes from. But
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I don't know everything. Tell me where I'm wrong. 440-546-2255. 440-546-2255. And really, we're not going to get mad. We want to discuss these. We got to work these things out together. Maybe you see a different view or slightly different perspective. I want to hear it. 440-546-2255.
Moody Radio is thankful for listeners and support from businesses like Duma Meats and Farm Market. Duma Meats and Farm Market, supporting Moody Radio in Cleveland and surrounding areas. More information about Duma Meats and Farm Market is at dumameats.com.
If you're looking for a way to leave a legacy that will help many hear the gospel, consider including the Moody Bible Institute as a beneficiary within your will, trust, or other estate planning documents. This is a wonderful way to steward well and extend your partnership with Moody beyond your lifetime. To learn more about the benefits of remembering the Moody Bible Institute, Moody Radio, and your other favorite Christian ministries with a legacy gift, go to moodylegacy.org/moodybequest. That's moodylegacy.org/moodybequest.
Making assumptions is rarely a good idea. That's true when it comes to thinking healthcare costs can't be affordable. Christian Healthcare Ministries has been helping believers meet their healthcare needs for over 40 years. It's not insurance, it's a ministry. Visiting chministries.org/Moody eliminates assumptions and shows how this unique model has worked to meet the healthcare needs of hundreds of thousands of Christians. Get more information and have your questions answered at chministries.org/Moody.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
724 WCRF Mornings with Brian. Jaime Buxton from City Mission, our guest today, as she is once a month, I think.
Yeah.
Lauren's
Woo-hoo!
out, not feeling super well. So.
That was a fake woohoo. Just, I'm down a few octaves this morning. I think we can all tell.
She's like, woohoo. That was Jamie. No, it was Ron. Just kidding. So we're chatting about persecution a little bit, and I've got some comments that came in throughout the week that I want to share with you guys and get your reaction to. As the president of Open Doors USA wrote for Christianity Today that so many people are worried about persecution coming to the West. They have this like a wrong view of it. Jesus called it a blessing. And when you encounter people in the real persecuted church around the world, what they view it as properly is a blessing. But we've got it all backwards, and we're fighting and angry and such. A lot of people don't buy into that perspective, to be honest with you. So here's one comment I'd like to get your response to, team. Someone said, is having to go to court because you're denied a job as a professor because of your belief persecution? It happened in our country. One of our, and then ChristianLaw.org took his case and won.
Yes.
You asking the question? Sorry.
Yeah, it's like, so what they're saying is, you guys are saying it's not that bad. Persecution for Christians in America really isn't a thing. But it is, because look at this guy got denied. He lost his job because he's a Christian and a professor.
Yes, it happened, and I would call that persecution, but I still am not going to say that persecution in America is a thing. It's just not a systemic problem that most of us genuinely have to fear for. Most people don't have to think about, I'm not going to get this job because I'm a Christian. Does it happen? Yes, but they're isolated incidents. Most of us don't say, I need to hide my Bible in case the police raid my house looking for Christians, or our church has to meet in secret. That is what our brothers and sisters in many other countries are dealing with.
Yeah, and there was this is going to be edgy here, but you know me. I know there was a professor or two who loved the Lord who were teaching in sciences, and I'm giving generics because I don't have the story in front of me, and they have a biblical view of gender, that there are two genders.
Right.
Male and female. And they lost their jobs on that front. Okay. Now, if we dig down a little bit, is that view exclusively Christian? As in the only way you hold that view is if you are a Christian?
No, there are other people that are not Christians that hold that view. They were not fired because they were Christian, even though they hold the beliefs because they're Christian. They were fired because they believed something that went against university policy or whatever.
Right. So it's Christian adjacent, but they weren't technically fired for their faith.
Right.
They were fired for their position on gender, which is born out of their faith. I know it sounds like a technicality, but in ancient Rome, you had a season where people were brought before authorities and said, and shown a statue of the emperor, said, bow down and worship this statue or you die.
Yeah.
They were persecuted for their faith in Jesus. Okay. They were, do you believe in Jesus? If you do, you're going to die. And I don't know of anyone in any university where it's like, do you believe in Jesus? You follow him as your savior? You're out. Like, that's not happening at this point.
Yeah.
Now, some of our beliefs that are born out of our faith are being persecuted. But I think there is a difference.
And the conclusion, he got his job back, probably with back pay.
Yes, he did.
So, that's different. And even if he didn't get his job back, he could go to another university and get a teaching job. Where in these countries, not only are you out of the university, you have to go find some other means of employment because you will never teach at a university again.
Well, they might blacklist you entirely. You can't get a job anywer.
Right.
Heard of that happening.
Because of your Christian faith. Not because of your view of the Eritrean government. You follow me? It's like, that's tangential. It's really a faith issue. And so maybe that's part of it, is some people are saying, I have these positions that are born out of my faith.
Right.
And people don't like these positions.
I think people are conflating injustice and persecution, and all persecution is injustice, but not all injustice is persecution.
Good point.
Ooh.
But let's make it even harder than that. Is one's view of gender what gets you to heaven?
No.
No.
Now, there's, I believe, a proper biblical view of gender. The Lord made them male and female. It's pretty obvious, okay? But what gets you to heaven is the life, death, and resurrection of Christ, and you acknowledging you're a sinner and that the only way to heaven is through him paying the price for your sins on the cross and rising again and conquering death. That's how you get to heaven. You can have terrible theology outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so you could have two Christian people that disagree on things like, was creation six 24-hour periods or 6 long periods of time?
Mm-hmm.
Is baptism immersion or sprinkling?
Mm-hmm.
Is it babies or adults? Is death penalty moral? You can go down all of these roads, right? Christians can disagree and still be saved.
Right.
You may not like that idea. I don't. But it's true. And so, again, when you talk persecution, we have to be very careful that it's not one's social, political positions born out of their faith. It must, to me, for persecution, be about your faith in Christ alone. Yeah? No? It seems like that's what you guys are saying.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. When you read Matthew 5, I wanted to stop you, but then I stopped myself from stopping you.
Why?
I don't know. Because you were on a roll and you were reading, but it says, because of me, not because of, and I love what you said, faith adjacent issues. When you are persecuted because of me, not because of what you think the Bible says or what you've made the Bible say because that feels comfortable to you or whatever. Because of me. When you're persecuted because of me, not just what makes us feel Christian.
Amen. Yeah, that's Matthew 5:11. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad is the response. We're supposed to rejoice and be glad when that happens. In fact, this is the subtlety of Christian living that I think people don't totally grasp, but it's like you will be persecuted because of your profession of faith in Jesus as Lord, okay? And in response to people who are angry with you for that, you counterintuitively in their minds love them anyway.
Right.
And they will be so perplexed by the fact that you are still joyful, patient, kind, good in the face of that persecution.
Right.
That they'll be disoriented. And many of them will turn to Christ because of it.
Right.
The response is not like, I'm persecuted because of Jesus, so now I'm going to bludgeon you with my Bible until you submit.
Right.
Or debate you into oblivion. It's very different. But for some reason, I think we lose sight of that. 440-546-2255.
Hi, I'm Joe Farini, and this is Pause for Prayer. Washington Irving once said that your tongue is the only instrument that gets sharper with use. The fact of the matter is before we speak words, we have thoughts that have been formulated to think a certain way. And from those thoughts, out come those words that we speak. The Apostle Paul in the last part of 2 Corinthians 10:5 says to take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. And later in Colossians 3:2, Paul exhorts us to set our mind on the things above and not on the things that are on earth. Let's pause for prayer. Lord, we need to be constantly and consciously turning away from saying and doing things we know that we should not be saying or doing. Help us to recognize the struggle and learn to process our thoughts through you, saying the right things in the right way at the right time. Help us to begin developing a healthy relationship with you, seeking and desiring to love you with all of our heart, mind, soul, and strength, and then desiring to love our neighbors as ourselves, thus being less likely to say things that will cause hurt to others. We know, Lord, that having the right thoughts and saying the right words goes a long way towards bringing you glory. Someone once said, watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become action. Watch your actions because they become your habits. Watch your habits because they become your character. And watch your character because it becomes your destiny. Lord, we need to change our thought patterns to become more of a blessing to those around us, and then to begin focusing on the ultimate giver of blessing, Jesus. May we spend time in your word today and pray. We know you love to hear from us, and we know we'll love hearing from you as well. Bring all of our thoughts captive under your control. Allow us to be the blessing to others this day, we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
This is David with the ministry India Partners, and since teaming up with Moody Radio, here's the impact that you have made. Girls as young as 8 have been rescued from a hopeless future and work that no one should ever have to do.
When I first got to the safe house, I was so happy to be safe and out of the red light area. I felt love like I had never felt before.
They're given 3 meals a day and life-saving health care.
When I was brought to the safe house, I didn't even weigh 50 pounds. I feel so healthy and safe here, safer than I ever knew I could be.
Plus, you've made a kingdom impact.
I also remember going to church for the first time. Now I read my Bible and worship Him every day.
And these girls know how it's all possible.
Thank you, Moody Radio.
Learn more about how India Partners is rescuing girls from being trafficked. Go to indiapartners.org/Moody.
Are you looking for candid conversation from a biblical perspective? You found it. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
739 WCRF, Mornings with Brian. Home of the Walkworthy Men's Conference, by the way. Again, it's Saturday, March 1st. Tickets are going very quickly this year at a I don't know if I can say record pace because no one said that, but the way it sounds like it's been years since they've been selling this fast.
A record for the last several years.
There you go. So get your ticket before it's too late. Text WALK to 440-546-2255. All right, we got Jaime Buxton from City Mission in with us today.
Going bazonkers on the radio.
By the way, I used that term, and you are all convinced no one's ever said it before. I'm the only one who said it. And we got a text, and somebody said, quote, "My husband uses the word bazonkers all the time, exclamation point, close quote."
Great, now there are two people.
And guess what? There'll be more today. Thank you. Okay. Got her.
That's what's called a social contagion.
That's right. I just created one. You're welcome. So, Daria, you said you had a follow-up item, as in you had a funny story about your day yesterday or this week?
Yeah. So yesterday, Jimmy and I were both in the kitchen, and I come in. I'm like, yeah, I have a headache. I'm going to take something for this. And so my husband, because he's very considerate, he unprompted fills up my glass of water that I had from earlier. And so just unthinking, I pick up this glass of water and I start drinking it. And then I'm looking at this glass of water and I say, where did this come from? I was having a day yesterday. I was just real tired. I'm like, where did this come from? I did not fill this water up. And he's like, I filled it up. And I said, oh, so is this your glass then? He says, no, I filled it up for you. And it just, for some reason, it just wasn't registering. We went back and forth a few times. I'm like, okay, so how did I get this water?
And he's like, are you okay, Daria?
I said, no. I said, hold me, I'm dumb.
Is that what you said?
That's what I said.
Hold me, I'm dumb. I think I'm going to use that. That's great. I like that. Yeah. And, that Jimmy, I tell you what, Ron, he's making us look bad all the time.
He is.
Filling up the water.
It doesn't matter that he filled it up because I didn't know who had filled it up or where the water came from. So
sounds like you needed a nap.
I think I did need
a Tylenol.
Hold me, I'm dumb. That's so cute. And now I want you to. You said you're willing to do it. You got to share with me what just happened in your life. You guys are having a midlife crisis of sorts.
We are. I think mostly me. It just dawned on me in the last couple weeks. So we have a junior in high school. That's our oldest, Micah. Mm-hmm. And he is not playing a spring sport as he has in the past. And so this gives us a spring break this year for the first time in a while. And we know that will be the last time that happens because by next year at this time, we will have a different kid playing said spring sport. And so I turned to my husband and I was like, this is the last spring break where all of our babies will be under our care and have the same schedule, and we need to do something big.
Did you tear up a little bit while you're saying that?
I've been tearing up about every thought of said impending graduation.
So it was genuine. It wasn't I'm going to just nudge my husband a little harder here.
No.
Okay.
And so
How did he respond to that?
I think he feels the same way. It was an immediate yeah, I know. So
yeah.
I started planning the trip of my dreams, which was to go back to Belize, which is where I served as a missionary. It's where Sean and I met. And
I love that idea.
I wanted to introduce the boys to the country. And so I started without permission given but so I started, not that I need permission, but it was not like Sean was on the same page, but I started researching things. And Belize is a lot more expensive than it was 20 years ago when I lived there. And so we were doing everything. And then just Sean, as only Sean can do, because he waits for a zinger. He waits for the right moment. And he was just like, we could all go to Hawaii for this same price. And I was like, I'm not going to fight that, I don't think. Belize was really what I wanted to do, but I was like, you can take this moment to really chomp into what you want, Jamie, or he was like, and then we can just have new family members for all of us. And I was like, sold.
Oh, wow. Sean, take notes, man.
Yeah.
Well played, Sean Buxton.
I know. He might have been sitting on it for a few days and just waiting for that moment. I'm not sure, but I was like, sold.
I bet he did because he was probably in his mind going, yeah, and I could say something like, oh, we could make new memories as a family.
Yes.
That'll melt her.
Yep, that's it.
And I was like, okay. So And then once Sean was all in, it was like nothing was stopping. I was getting texts all the day long of what island, what flight, what this. And so we're going to Maui with all of our boys.
How fun.
This is totally a midlife crisis thing. But what
Soon you're going.
Yeah, we're going for spring break, March 21st.
Nice.
Can hardly contain myself. And Sean did it all. He's doing all the things. But I immediately noticed he bought the plane tickets. He got the Verbo. And I noticed in the Amazon cart, the very first thing. Do you guys know what it was? Don't tell Brian, because I already told you.
What?
A Hawaii bird book.
Oh, yeah. No
Of course.
surprise.
And it's sitting right next to the couch because he's already becoming very familiar with all the birds that we don't know in Hawaii.
And for those who don't know, Jaime Buxton is not only a chemist,
Yeah.
but he is a birder.
He is
Now,
a birder.
If you don't know what a birder is, what's a birder?
Someone who likes birds and goes and finds them and tracks them, and he knows their calls. He knows all the things.
I found out our friend Pastor Scott Lessing, who's on the show once a month as well, he's a bit of a birder without admitting it.
Yeah.
We did this retreat thing, and he was like naming all the birds. I go, whoa, dude. I mean, I can name a cardinal because it's red.
Yes.
Right.
Good job.
And blue jay.
And a blue jay.
And a blue jay.
Because it's blue. After that, I'm done.
Yeah.
Seagull, I guess I could get.
Red-winged blackbird, that's my favorite because they're everywhere.
And they have a little red thing.
They
and
have a little
And they're
thing.
a black bird.
Yeah.
See, it's really on the nose, but some of them are named funny things.
Yes.
Can you think of one?
You know that I can.
Like Arctic terns that look like seagulls, but they're on the beach. What are those?
I don't know.
Arctic terns.
Call them beach terns because that's where they live.
Sean's favorite is the tufted titmouse.
Oh, of course.
It's not a mouse. It's not a mouse. It's a bird.
It's a bird.
Ah! What's your favorite?
The red-winged blackbird.
Oh, yeah, you
'cause
just
it's the
said
only one I can find. And they're everywhere. I'm always like, oh, there's
Yeah.
one.
So his vision of making memories as a family, one last big trip is you could all go look at birds together very quietly.
We're going to have to do some birding. I'm
How do the
quite
boys
sure of
feel
it.
about that?
I don't know that they have realized that.
The
It's
older
so funny.
ones, Jamie, are going to be like, you guys go ahead. We're going to stay here.
Oh, no. Actually, what's the hard part is the baby was like, Sean finds all these things, the free things to do and whatever. And so we're looking, and Gideon, who is 9, and he is our baby, and he gets everything he wants at all times, let's be honest. And he was like, I'm going cliff jumping like that guy. And there's literally a guy backflipping off this like 100. And I was like, no, you're not.
I'm your mother.
And he was like, that's all I want to do is jump off a cliff. I'm like, well, I don't. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening, I was keeping that from you.
He gets the shallow end of the pool. Thank you very much with floaties.
Yeah.
This baby. But yeah, we're
Yeah.
very excited.
And you're not alone because we did one of those angsty trips as well because my parents gave us a very generous gift for Christmas and my daughter was about to leave for boot camp. We threw together a cruise.
It's awesome.
We spent all the money they gave us.
Yeah.
But we wanted one last time to build memories. And it's, I knew I would have feelings when I got to this point, but I didn't quite know what they would be.
Yeah.
And I still can't quite articulate those feelings.
It's, I can't imagine where you're at because I know where I'm at and I'm a year away from it. Every time they talk about senior night and it's not even my senior, I don't have a senior, I'm already crying knowing that I'm going to have a senior next year. I'm a mess.
Yeah, and I don't know if you get this, but my daughter Grace, God bless her, I know she's not listening now because she doesn't have access to modern technology at the moment. But like I was like crying in the church service. I wasn't like weeping. I was under control. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a man.
Okay.
And she was looking at me, and it was like oh, not like I'm gonna miss you too, Dad. It was more like oh, sweet, my
So sorry
dad.
for you.
Oh, are you
Yeah.
okay, Dad? And it's hard to describe what that feels like. I get it. I've been there. I've been 19, and your parents are annoying.
Yeah.
But now I'm the annoying parent.
Yeah. I'm trying because I feel it like I get angsty about something that Micah's doing, like it's been 4 nights in a row and he's out with friends and or whatever. And I'll be like, and I'll lose it. And then I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm just getting hard that like I know my time with you is limited. So you need to know your parents love you and you have brothers that love you. And so you got to give us some time too. Okay. Good talk.
Yeah, and I still have you put. Can you put like specific words to these feelings yet? Like I'm feeling. I can't do it.
No, run over by a truck. And again, I'm a year away from it still.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I am in many. We're very close.
Yeah.
So, all right. Maybe you can articulate the feeling, but I'm honestly finding it really difficult, even with a feelings chart, to come up with how that feels.
Yeah.
Because there's so many contradictory things. You know, if you, biblically, you're going to have justice and mercy working against each other. To be proud and excited and yet devastated and scared.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you call that?
Well,
Put
that
those
was
together.
good. That was good.
Well, right, but what's one word?
None.
You just found 4. You don't
You
need
found
one.
4. Yeah, that was good.
Thank you.
You're so smart, Brian.
Wow.
You got that?
Mark that one.
Daria?
No.
All right, we'll get back to Follow Up Friday here in just a minute.
During the winter months, the Praise and Worship channel can be like a warm hug for the soul. Even on the dreariest days. So let the music of Praise and Worship channel play and let it remind you that no matter how cold it gets outside, there's always warmth and light within you. Online at praiseandworship.org or in the Moody Radio app.
That's who I praise.
A ministry of Moody Radio.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-659-9838.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-659-9838.
Good morning, Cleveland. Thanks for choosing us to help you start your day. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
What happened to you? Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
It's 7:54 on Moody Radio. It's Follow-Up Friday. Love hearing from you. 440-546-2255. Throughout the morning, I introduced some new vocabulary to the team, and we keep hearing from people. It's my understanding that one Dick Goddard, legendary weatherman, used to say bazonkers.
I didn't see that text.
Angela said that.
Well, that would be adding credibility to your comment.
I'm going to have to Google that.
So there you go.
He was bazonkers over the woolly bear.
I do love a good woolly bear festival.
If I had a quarter for every time I heard that sentence, Ron, I'd have...
1 quarter.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
All right. So we'd love to have you join the conversation. Maybe there's a topic you want to bring to the team or a controversial issue you've seen in the news we haven't covered yet. We want to help you understand today's issues from a biblical perspective and help you in that journey with Jesus. So give us a call, 440-546-2255. We also want you to join us for the upcoming Walk-Worthy Men's Conference. For over 30 years, men from across Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania have joined us for this event. And we want you to be there, okay? Saturday, March 1st, Canton Baptist Temple. To get your ticket today, text the word WALK to 440-546-2255.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
It's 8 o'clock on WCRF Mornings with Brian. Follow-up Friday, 440-546-2255. We have a lot of topics we want to talk about, but we'd love to yield to you. 440-546-2255.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
President Trump says 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico are coming Saturday, but he hasn't decided if oil imports will be included. It's 8 o'clock. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. Speaking at the White House, Mr. Trump said it would depend on the price of oil. Canada supplied half of the oil imports to the U.S. in 2023, while Mexico made up 11%. An investigation is underway after a Maple Heights police officer opened fire on a dog. The incident began when a resident reported that a dog described as loose and aggressive was roaming their neighborhood. The owner took the dog to the vet, and there's been no word on its condition. And 2 Stark County residents are accused in the theft of an ATV and a snowplow. Authorities say they had recovered the snowplow, but they were having trouble finding the ATV until the suspects mentioned its location on a phone call being monitored by jail staff. I'll be right back with sports and weather.
Missions are about reaching out to the people God's placed in our paths with the life-changing message of the gospel. And on Missions Today, we dive into the stories of God at work around the world and in your neighborhood through people like us, utilizing the tools God's provided. Missions Today is moving to a new day and time here on Moody Radio Cleveland. I'm your host, Colin Lambert. Join me Sundays at 6:30 p.m. That's Missions Today, now on Sunday evenings at 6:30, Moody Radio Cleveland.
In sports, the Cavaliers blew out the Hawks 137-115, and the Blue Jackets edged the Golden Knights 2-1 in overtime. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Showers and patchy fog today, but get this, high temperatures in the mid-40s. Right now, we're looking at light rain in the Cleveland area where it's 39 degrees. Akron and Canton, light rain as well, 38 the temperature. In Lorain and Elyria, it's 38 under cloudy skies.
It's time for your moron moment.
As if Fridays couldn't get any better around the office, National Fun at Work Day falls on the last Friday of January. Whether you work for a small office or a large organization, injecting fun into the workplace is a great way to bond with coworkers, boost team morale, gain inspiration, and even increase productivity. So rally around your coworkers and celebrate National Fun at Work Day. You just need to bring the fun. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 8:03. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Follow-up Friday at WCRF. There's a common phrase that you hear all the time. People go, oh, it's just semantics. You ever heard this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean when someone says that in your estimation?
Wordplay. That you use a different word than what might be the normal word. And so they say, well, it's just semantics, just a matter of what words I used.
Yeah, and in some sense, it's like, the words don't matter. We all mean the same thing. You know, it's just semantics. Don't worry about it. We're just disagreeing on words. But I often hear pushback on that from people because, no, actually, words do matter.
Yes.
Precision in language matters.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was gone on Monday, you guys talked about an interesting piece from the New York Times that talks about current trends on how people respond.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because we all have tics we do and certain societal trends on responses. Like, Ron, you've talked about this when you were a kid. You didn't say dude. They said that when I was a kid. But it was like, what are some of the common phrases you would hear, slang phrases that were super common?
Cool, of course.
Yeah, cool. That's cool. Literally, it's not cold.
No, it's it's hard to find another word for cool.
It's groovy, man.
It's all good.
Yeah. What else did we say? Boy, that was a long
It's hip
time
and
ago
happening.
when I was a kid.
Groovy, baby.
I'm not sure if any generation really said hip and happening.
I think Brian says that.
I say that a lot. Yeah, and so words do matter. And they talk about
Yeah,
the current trend is if you just like bump into somebody or you make a mistake or you do something wrong. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, no, you're good.
Yes.
I say that all the time. I'm realizing I say it all the time. You guys ever say that? No, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot.
But what does that even mean?
I mean, as we talked about on Monday, it's kind of the replacement of a formal apology because that can sometimes feel awkward. It's just kind of everything's fine. Don't worry about it. You know, this offense it didn't bother me. That kind of thing.
Well, and the writer of this piece talked about a number of language trends like that one have a vague aura of dishonesty. Like if somebody like bumps into me and I get hurt, I don't know, you're not all good.
You're not good. It hurt a
Laying
little.
on the ground with a broken ankle and yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, and then the other one is how often we use the term perfect.
Yeah, Lauren says that's like useful now. People, instead of saying you're good, they'll go, oh, that's okay, you're perfect. And it's like, what? Have my sins been all washed away and I'm now sinless? Only in the sight of God.
I mean, perfect is such an extreme word. I mean, even I'll use it in an email exchange. Jamie's like, hey, I'm going to be coming on Friday this week. Perfect. What?
Well, I mean, it is. No, I'm just kidding.
And so in response to that discussion you guys had, one guy transparently wrote, he said, my wife has told me, my bad, and that angers me.
Well, my bad, I think in a real relationship, like if I step on your toe as we're crossing the sidewalk together and I say my bad, I think that's like a casual, but like, hey, if I've really done something to offend my husband, whatever that might be, and it could be a myriad of things, and I just say my bad, it doesn't feel like I'm taking ownership and actually apologizing.
Yeah, it is quite dismissive. I don't know what it is about that specific phrase, but it's not really taking ownership of what you've done.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, that's who I am. My bad.
And now,
get over it.
Here's the challenge. In some respects, to younger people, you two would sound like a bunch of old fuddy-duddies saying that. Because I remember when I was a teacher, right? I had a colleague, Pat Exner, awesome guy, taught English. He would spend the whole first week with ninth grade students, many of them coming from situations of poverty, okay? He would teach them the unwritten rules of school.
Ooh.
And one of them, he'd say, if your teacher gets mad at you, don't say my bad. Because your teacher will be offended by that. They'd be like, really? Yeah, the teacher won't like that. Oh, like what would we say? Well, you'd say, I'm sorry. Oh, but that's what my bad means. Right, but you can't say that because that's not what they think it means.
Yeah, and in that same vein, I have seen a lot of older people go on rants, like literal rants and tirades about how my generation likes to say no problem in response to thank you, which is just, the language evolves. You do just have to keep that in mind. So for us, it is you're welcome, but they don't like it because they think it somehow is cheapening the interaction, or I don't know the exact verbiage they use, but they get quite offended, some of them.
Because like, my bad does to folks like us. It's like, wow, are you just dismissing me?
Mm-hmm.
But somebody might sincerely be going, essentially, no problem. Or we're good. It's okay. I forgive you. Don't even worry about it. It's not a big deal to me.
Yeah.
And so the problem isn't necessarily the phrase. It's what someone's perception of the phrase is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we do?
I don't know.
Yeah, at the same
I don't either.
But at the same time, though, even the language evolves, and I think we just need to give each generation grace for, we're going to say different things that mean the same thing. I think when it comes to an apology, there is, depending on what the offense was, we can't just brush this off. We can't just say like my bad or no problem. I think we need to use more intense language so we can actually reach true understanding and reconciliation.
Right.
I shared this on Monday. My husband, Jimmy, he wants the formal apology. He needs to say, will you forgive me? And even if I just, say I'm sorry and I don't explicitly say, can you forgive me? Like, he needs to say, you are forgiven. And at first I found that extremely awkward and kind of weird, but I've come to admire that about him, because he really wants to make sure that we're okay. You know that what I did not intend to hurt you. I know that you're not holding this against me.
But that was a hard transition for you.
It was, and I'm still working on it. We've only been married 4 years, but I do admire that about him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this might sound melodramatic, or, oh, you're just on Christian radio, that's why you're saying that. But I think there is something important for Christians to not get too slang-filled with our professions of sin and apology.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because the nature of humanity is sinful, and the power of forgiveness are such an integral part of what we are, of what we do and what we believe,
Mm-hmm.
that if we truncate it too much down to my bad,
God.
yeah, are we somehow, even if we think that means I'm sorry, are we shrinking down forgiveness into it becoming not valuable anymore?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably part of what Jimmy's heart is on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked about at some point, maybe it was this week, I don't know what I said even an hour ago, but when my kids will say, well, I'll say, I'm sorry I did this. They'll say, it's okay. I can't let that happen. No, it's not okay. You need to understand, what I did was not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they always kind of flinch a little bit, like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And I go, what I did was wrong, and I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? And they say, yeah, I forgive you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of that stems from the younger generation. We're very conflict and confrontation averse. Part of that is, I think, inherent to our generation. I think the other part is just we're still so young. We haven't had a ton of experience with it. So even if someone is, even your dad is looking you in the eye and saying, I am so sorry, this is uncomfortable. We don't want to be an inconvenience. We don't like this. We just need to get it over as quickly as possible. I don't want him to think he hurt me because, a lot of us have self-esteem issues. It's okay. It's all good. I just need to get this over with. But there is the subtle psychological aspect of, you can't say this is okay because you did not deserve to be treated that way.
Right. And that's where I'm perfectly comfortable with language evolving. But maybe as Christ followers, we have to draw a line when it comes to sin and forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't let language cheapen it.
Yeah.
But is that just an old person advocating for old-timey phrases?
Maybe.
To me, they're theological phrases.
Oh, geez. I love that. I mean, I agree.
Forgiveness?
You just took it to a whole nother Jesus level. You just pulled out the theology card in what could have been a lighter conversation. But no, I think I agree with you. And like what you were sharing, Daria, I think I admire that about Jimmy too. And I don't even really know him. Like that to speak of the depth of I've hurt you or you've hurt me and I want to forgive you, I think is really important. And we don't want to cheapen God's grace. But I think if you step on somebody's toe on the sidewalk and you say, my bad, It's not some deep sin. It was an accident.
Yeah. I think you can
Totally
say it's all good. Like, Jamie, if I accidentally bumped your shoulder in the hallway, like, oh, sorry, you can say it's all good. Like, that's fine. We can move on. But if I did something that was like emotionally devastating, like, no, we can't just brush it off in that little interaction.
There is a difference.
Someone else added, if you're a people pleaser, you always say it's fine, even when it's not.
True.
And by the way, that's what we call in the Christian faith a lie.
Mm-hmm.
You think what you're doing is you're peacemaking, but what you're actually doing is you're holding a grudge and you're hurt and you won't say it. So therefore, when you say you're fine and you're not, you're lying and you're hurting the relationship.
Yeah. And I am a people pleaser.
Me
and
too.
so I can resonate with this a bit. It's okay to not be fine. It really is okay to not. You can still forgive someone and try to move on, but it's okay to not be fine. Some people, it leaves a wound, and that takes some healing.
And it takes sometimes discussion.
Yeah.
I hurt my marriage for years thinking my job as a Christian was to forgive even when I don't feel. Now, I have to be careful how I say this. For me to declare everything's okay now, even if it's not. And so what I would do is have a negative conversation with my wife in my head. But what I would tell her is, we're good now. But we're not.
Yeah.
That's not healthy for her or for me. We have to be able to work through it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, 8:18, time for a quick break. What do you want to talk about this Follow-Up Friday? Maybe this strikes a chord in your life? 440-546-2255.
Men, are you ready to embrace God's calling and live faithfully for Him in a challenging world? Join us for the Walkworthy Men's Conference on Saturday, March 1st in Canton, Ohio. Through powerful worship and uplifting Bible teaching, you'll find encouragement to pursue God's purposes in every area of your life. Don't miss this chance to grow deeper than ever in your faith and connect with other men walking the same path. Learn more and register at moodyconferences.com.
Moody Radio is thankful for support from listeners and businesses like Deerfield Ag Services. They help in adaptation of new technologies and techniques of farm and business management. More information about Deerfield Ag and how they can help is at deerfieldagservices.com.
Ever wondered if there's a way for Christians to meet their healthcare costs affordably and efficiently? A biblical lifestyle alternative to traditional healthcare options? The answer is Christian Healthcare Ministries. They've enabled believers to live out their faith while embracing a voluntary health cost ministry for over 40 years. It all starts with a visit to chministries.org/Moody to see how CHM meets values and healthcare costs. Get more information and have your questions answered at chministries.org/Moody.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, 6 to 9 a.m. weekdays on 3.3.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Danny Goki, 823 Moody Radio, with us all morning on a follow-up Friday. The lovely and talented Jaime Buxton.
Whoa, lovely and talented.
The czar of fun at City Mission.
Oh, I forgot about my fun title. Yes.
I actually was ashamed this morning brushing my teeth saying I've said that so much that after all these years, I still go totally blank at your actual title.
I am the community engagement manager, which is why they let me do stuff like this. I'm in the community. Engagement manager. I'm doing stuff.
Like in a month, I'm going to look in a mirror and go like, I don't remember.
So just say czar of fun because I like that better.
Okay, good.
The men know me because I only get to like do a few events with the men, just the way my schedule is. But I am the official bingo caller of Crossroads. And so
you should put that on a business card.
I actually got to use a little flex the other day because the PTA is we're having bingo night at my son's elementary school. And for days I saw it because, Jaime does love a microphone and all attention on her. Not going to lie. That's why I'm here this morning.
I resemble that remark.
I know. And so, but I let it sit for a few days and simmer where there was a mom who I know on the PTA and she was like, who out there really wants to be the bingo caller? I know. And it sat for days. And I didn't respond on social media, like to the thread, but I texted her separately. I was like, I'm not going to lie. I am the official bingo caller of the City Mission.
You got a lot of experience here. I mean, listen.
I have an app on my phone called Bingo Caller. Okay.
B12.
Wow.
I've got this. Well, you remember way back when, this is when we met, during I had the coronavirus family game nights. Do you remember? That's how you met me.
Yeah, you tried to get me to play.
I had hundreds of people playing the games throughout coronavirus times.
Yeah, I don't like playing games, so I didn't participate, but I admired your efforts.
But bingo was how it all started. So I am a bingo caller.
Well, good for you. And did you get the PTA job?
I got the gig.
Good.
Oh, good.
Good. Okay, so I do have a stack here of odd and weird stories, which I was going to say, well, that's a little weird, Jaime. So let's talk about weird things, but thought that might be harsh because it's not weird. It's quirky.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I like it.
Okay. Out of Seattle, Washington, check this out. Somebody broke into Taco Time. You might be like, well, why would you break into Taco Time? What would be the reasons you'd think someone would bust into a restaurant, break in the middle of the night when they're closed?
Munchies?
Yeah, maybe you really like tacos, right? And you just want
to
make
money.
a bunch of I mean, typically it's like I'm going to take money from the cash register or something.
Yeah.
Not this guy. While the restaurant was closed, he opened the drive-through window, like cranked it open, and grabbed Taco Time sauce bottles that were placed along the window. And he even used a stick so he could reach a total of 7 bottles of Taco Time hot sauce. And then left.
They sell hot sauce at the store.
Yeah, but not Taco Time, sorry.
Taco Time opens tomorrow.
He didn't steal any cash?
No.
Didn't take any other food?
He just really wanted the sauce.
Really wanted there's lots of different kinds of sauce, but he wanted the fast food kind because that's everyone's favorite kind of hot sauce.
Listen, I don't know what we would do if you couldn't buy Chick-fil-A Polynesian sauce in the store. I mean, maybe the Buxton boys would be doing this. I don't know.
Yeah, we buy that.
Because there are fights over
good.
the Polynesian. It's not for me. I'm not a sauce girl.
Excuse me?
You don't like the Polynesian
sauce? I don't like
sauce?
condiments in general.
You don't what now?
No mustard, no ketchup, no mayo.
Those are very sad sandwiches, Jaime.
No sauces. I'm a plain.
Let's talk about this.
So what do you put? What goes on a sandwich?
What kind of sandwich?
Let's make a ham sandwich. Go ahead.
A ham sandwich would have ham and cheese. And if we're really
Between
feeling fancy,
what, bread?
maybe on bread. Maybe a piece of lettuce.
Maybe a piece of lettuce. We're getting real fancy up in
Tomato, if I'm really jazzing it up.
Do you have to have 6 glasses of water because it's so dry?
No.
Like you're not even going to put butter on
Okay, maybe
the bread?
double the cheese. Absolutely no butter. I mean, I like butter in general.
Mayo?
Never mayonnaise.
Mustard?
Barbecue sauce?
Listen, I was a youth pastor. We used to play messy games. The kids knew if they came near me with the mustard, it was all over for me. I will dry heave if I get it on my finger.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Okay, so let's just say you go to a restaurant, you get a cheeseburger and French fries.
Yeah.
What happens with those?
Nothing.
No ketchup.
Every once in a while, depending on the sandwich, in the fries, I may put the tiniest bit of ketchup on the side and dip like the tiniest bit, because there's no aversion to ketchup. I just don't want it on stuff. So I might like break apart the sandwich and dip it in the tiniest bit. I'm the same way with syrup, even on my pancakes.
Oh, wow.
I'd
Plot
rather have
thickens.
plain pancakes.
Yeah, you're going to choke on those.
I like doughy things.
I love bread too, but you got to put something on it.
It's like just basically you're chewing on a sponge. It's going to take all the saliva out of your mouth.
Do you put butter on your pancakes at least? I'm going to take that as a no. You eat dry plain pancakes.
Yes.
Are we putting fruit or jam on our
Whipped
pancakes?
cream?
Ew, no whipped cream. I do not really enjoy whipped cream.
So it's kind of like...
Okay, so I am the weird story. Who knew?
I hate to connect it because you're my dear friend and I have so much love and respect for you, but you sound a lot like my Theodore, who's 10.
You're telling me Theodore doesn't put ketchup on his 5,000 corn dogs he eats a day?
No, he eats, like, his favorite is corn dogs.
He eats dry corn dogs.
Cooked in the microwave.
Yeah.
Probably not that hot. Maybe
that's
even
gross.
slightly cold in the center
No,
with
Teddy.
no condiments.
No condiments for sure. If I'm at Chick-fil-A, guys, and I decide to get crazy, I'll get a honey.
Ooh. Chick-fil-A has like the best condiments.
No.
Is this a result of you being an only child getting whatever you want?
Maybe.
Penny raised a
Because
picky
you know
eater.
what? I can recall some traumatic experiences with my
With condiments?
babysitter. My babysitter refused, because back in the day, we would go and hang out at the McDonald's Playland.
Yeah.
Probably every other week.
Oh, sure.
You know, and she would never, and I love this woman dearly, she would never order the plain cheeseburger for me. So I would sit and I would take my fries and I would scrape it all off tearfully.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Tearfully. Just to add the drama to
I
it.
don't know why she just wouldn't order the plain sandwich.
I mean,
so when I worked in childcare, my boss would always laugh at me. If we would go like somewhere like out and get the kids McDonald's and go play somewhere, you know, which happened often. I always ordered just plain cheeseburgers, and then we'd get the condiments. And she's always like, "That's over." And I'm like, "No kid should have to scrape off their sandwich."
Did you get
So okay, maybe a little trauma, maybe a little quirkiness.
Did you get the crust cut off your sandwiches too?
I don't think so. I love the crust. In fact, I cut them off for my Gideon, and I eat the crust because I love the crust. So I'm fine.
I mean,
I'm spoiled, but not spoiled brat.
I want to lift you up and make you look so cool, but it's like you're working so hard against me here.
I'm sorry.
I have the opposite problem with sauces, where, for example, if I'm going to make toast, I'm going to cover it in butter, and then I'm going to put on so much jelly that I start to get self-conscious. I'm like, what if someone sees how much is on here? Will they judge me?
And you need to have the plate under the toast all the way up to your chin.
Yes.
So that when you bite, if it slips off, it doesn't get on you.
Yeah.
Falls on the plate.
Yeah.
I put mayonnaise in a sandwich, and I'm like, maybe I should scrape some off. I've really overdone it here. Ron, you have the same problem, it sounds like.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like the jelly one, it's like... Okay,
Jelly I like, but I think you are overusing it. But I like jelly.
Now, if I wanted plain bread, that's what I would eat. But if I'm having toast, I would like the dominant flavor to be jelly.
Okay, well, I like the toast.
You want the dry...
No, I will put butter on toast. I didn't say that. Maybe some jelly.
Cottonmouth Jamie. Why does she have a cotton mouth? It's the plain pancakes.
The plain pancakes.
No, but you know what? To each their own. I understand. We all have our own quirks and those kind of things.
No sauces. I don't even know how we got here. How did we get here? Where's your weird story?
Because a guy busted into Taco Time.
Oh, yeah, the taco
and stole
time.
hot sauce.
Not me.
No, you wouldn't do that.
I'd
Taco
steal
Time.
the rolls or the mashed potatoes.
You break it to put the hot sauce back.
This is FEBC Today with Ed Cannon, the president of the Far East Broadcasting Company. Ed, let's talk about two different countries, very different, and yet the same need for the gospel.
That's right, Wayne. We're going to talk about Mongolia and Cambodia. Mongolia, essentially an atheist country, no presence of the church here in recent decades, and Cambodia, almost entirely a Buddhist country, very heavy Buddhist presence there. So both countries are in need of Christ, but yet our broadcasts focus on the light of Jesus Christ. The first letter comes from Mongolia. and it points to the fact that the man is living a life in darkness. He starts, "During the darkest days of my life, I began to listen to FEBC. This station could be an honest family member for me. I was completely encouraged and healed by those programs. Jesus healed my broken heart by the radio program."
Beautiful.
So often, Wayne, we hear people saying, "I'm in a very dark place," which in a way encourages the FEBC broadcaster because we know they're looking to get out of the darkness, so we show them the light.
Let's move south to Cambodia. This listener says, "To grow in my relationship with Jesus, I need to hear God's word daily." Don't we all? "I appreciate your kindness and love in providing this radio to me as an illiterate person. I promise to use it properly and look after it."
Here's a person who's illiterate, no other way to hear the gospel of Jesus Christ or read it on his own, but yet from that place of darkness in his life, he shares the light of Christ with a man in a hopeless situation.
The same gospel message in both of these countries. So good to hear from these listeners. If you'd like to pray for these countries and more, look for the prayer target at febc.org. It's a very helpful guide on how to pray for the world. Just look for it online at febc.org. That's febc.org.
Moody Radio is thankful for listeners and support from businesses like Duma Meats and Farm Market. Duma Meats and Farm Market, supporting Moody Radio in Cleveland and surrounding areas. More information about Duma Meats and Farm Market is at dumameats.com.
Today, there is a disciple-making church planting movement that's taken root in 40 countries around the world. It's called the Timothy Initiative, and its mission is to see a healthy church planted in every village, everywhere. Since 2007, over 200,000 churches have been planted through the work of the Timothy Initiative, but there's more work to be done. Take your place in the Timothy Initiative. Go to ttiglobal.org.
4 out of 3 people struggle with math. Brian says that's 60% of the population. Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Moody Radio, 8:39. It's Follow-Up Friday. You never know what you're going to get. We love having folks like Jaime Buxton join us once a month to kind of just add to the discussion, and we always learn something new about each other. And we've all got a little bit of quirky, and I love yours. It's great.
I think mine is not that abnormal. I like dry sandwiches.
And that's, my father-in-law is that way, although to much more of an extreme. For him, if you're like, you should make a sandwich, you go, oh, no problem. He'll white bread, slice of thin slice like budding ham.
Okay.
Another slice of bread.
Yeah, that's a little sad.
Sandwich complete.
Single slice of ham and nothing else.
That's how my brother was as a kid. He'd be like, bread, slice of thin sliced meat, bread.
So you're having meat-flavored bread.
I start feeling self-conscious. I'm like, I can't have this much meat on this sandwich. It's not fair to everyone else.
Yeah.
That's a sandwich for me. And you're the same way, except you just don't want the sauce on it.
Correct.
Okay, so we also found out in the break, and this is something that I think Daria is brilliant.
Of course.
And she's confronted us with what I would call really a dilemma or existential crisis.
For sure.
You have to repeat your question for us.
So Jaime does like peanut butter.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked, is peanut butter a condiment?
Apparently, this is a really big, hard question because I Googled it.
Did you?
Was there a debate online?
Of course. Apparently, it's much bigger than us. Yes.
We used to debate, is a hot dog a sandwich or a taco?
Yeah.
Which is an existential debate as well. It's clearly a sandwich, but that's a different story for a different day. In this case, I would never put peanut butter in the same category as mustard.
Right.
It's not.
Because you would never make a mustard sandwich.
Oh, you would if you were my sister-in-law.
Or my son. My son used to have a mustard and pickle sandwich. It's one of his favorite sandwiches.
Oh,
interesting.
Which
my
is problematic.
Loves a mustard sandwich.
Okay?
And
Are
she
you okay?
eats it in front of me to make me gag.
So this is Sean's
Sean's twin sister.
New information.
I know.
He was a twin.
I just saw your eyes explode. Yeah.
All the new information about the Buxtons.
Yeah. Her name's Sarah. She might be listening.
She is a twin of Sean Buxton.
Yes.
Does she like birds?
She likes nature.
There it is. Okay, but she'll have could I have a mustard sandwich, please?
She will. Oh, please. I see a call coming in. I hope it's my sister-in-law, Sarah.
I mean, God bless Sarah. That's her quirk. That's a little quirky.
It's disgusting.
Give me a ham sandwich. Hold the ham.
Yeah.
That's what that is. Mm-hmm. Now, the peanut butter one, let me just analyze this here. A condiment would be like ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, which you don't have by themselves. They're not designed for that.
Correct.
They accentuate the flavor of something else. It's an add-on. Peanut butter's not that way. Like, I'm not going to stick my finger in the ketchup bottle and just get a big swipe of ketchup and enjoy it.
Correct.
But with peanut butter, I would.
Yeah.
So, but it's also, as I mentioned earlier, this is way too much analysis, but this is how my brain works. If Jaime were to come here and said, I had a hamburger for dinner, I wouldn't bat an eye. But if she said, oh, you know what I had for dinner? Peanut butter. I'd go, well, that's weird. That's not a meal. So it's not a condiment.
But it is a snack. You wouldn't have any question if I came in here. Well, you might if I was carrying my whole little Jif with me, right?
Are you partial to Jif,
But
by the way?
I am partial to Jif.
Okay, fair enough.
But like Sean Buxton for Christmas this year, because there's a whole nother trail I won't go down. I bought him a peanut butter spoon, and it says my peanut butter spoon.
So, okay, again, Sean Buxton, your husband.
Yes.
It's made of peanut butter, this spoon?
No, it's just a spoon, but it's for dipping in and eating huge amounts of peanut butter out of the Jif. He should have his own container because he contaminates the rest.
So he, for a snack, will just have a big bite of peanut butter.
A big.
Now,
just one?
Never. Which is why I
right.
say he contaminates the whole thing.
That's my guy.
But I'm not thrown off by this.
No.
So are we declaring peanut butter to be a snack? Is that what we're doing?
I'm not.
I'm feeling most comfortable with this. It's not a meal.
It's a spreadable snack because you have to.
Jaime Buxton, I'm liking this.
What then would you call easy cheese a spreadable snack?
No, it's an abomination.
Also wrong.
You're talking about the stuff that comes out of an aerosol can?
I love it.
It's an abomination. It's like also American cheese, which is a horrible. Like, America should be offended by this.
It tastes like plastic.
It's not even
You
cheese.
guys are wrong.
It's not
I
even
love
cheese.
some Easy Cheese. If someone would give me a can of Easy Cheese, I am currently on a mission to lose some weight, and I've been doing really well. But if Easy Cheese was sitting right in front of me, I would eat it.
Is it going on a cracker, or are you just tipping the head back and going for it?
Listen, it would go on a cracker, but it would be way out of
Proportion. Yeah.
with the cracker.
So are you trying to say Easy Cheese and peanut butter are in the same category?
For me, they are things
That's-
everyone
No.
should love.
No.
Totally incorrect.
I don't hear Ron saying I'm wrong.
Easy Cheese
No,
doesn't even classify
she's
as
not.
food.
No, it's because I don't think there's any actual food in it. It's like
so good.
or like yellow dye number 6.
Is the first
oil.
ingredient.
It'll have oil in it.
Probably, I don't know.
It'll have like powder MSG.
Salt.
Okay.
You're like, not bothering me. How about this? One last peanut butter question.
Okay.
We've declared it's a spreadable snack. Creamy or chunky?
Creamy all the way.
Ron?
No.
I'm ambivalent there. I like them both.
I'm not surprised. You're
Equally
easy-
the same?
Yeah. If I
Lies.
get the chance to choose chunky, I will choose it because my wife Dana prefers the creamy, so
And you
that's
love
what
your
we
wife.
always have at the house. Yeah.
Daria?
I like smooth.
Okay, I will eat smooth like creamy if it's offered to me, but chunky is much better. It feels much more substantive because it is. And
Are you a Peter Pan then? I just feel like chunky is Peter
I'm
Pan.
actually I don't discriminate. I am a very diverse lover of peanut butter, whether it's generic
Okay.
or Jif or Peter Pan or whatever. I'll eat it and I'll like it.
Like it.
Especially if it's chunky. Now, if you really want to change your life, and you're going to think that this is one of my quirks in my family that you're going to be disgusted by. My mother, I think, invented this, and it's spectacular. Peanut butter, popcorn. It's going to change your life. So here's what you do. And don't tell you I never gave you anything because I'm about to give you something amazing. You take your popcorn, I don't care how you make it, you put it in a bowl, and then you take some butter in a bowl and a big scoop of peanut butter. And you microwave it for a little bit so it gets melty. You need the butter in there to get a little bit more like drippy.
A little more
liquid.
Yeah. And so then you stir it up once it's warm enough and you pour it over the peanut butter or over the popcorn and then you toss it. And then you end up with not just, you get pieces of peanut in there and you get peanut butter flavor all over the popcorn. It's going to change your life. Unless you're allergic to peanut butter.
Right.
And then it will change your life, of course.
Yeah.
But
And your
not in the
life.
way you
Do you
want.
eat it with a spoon?
No, you just get your hands all dirty. It's a dirty snack. I mean, come on.
That's not a couch snack then.
I'm sorry. Are Cheetos a couch snack?
Good point.
That's a different kind
And your
of dirty.
hands are clean when you're done? Yeah, somebody's going to try it, and someone is going to say, I will donate to Share now. Because my life has been so enhanced by Brian's advice about peanut butter popcorn.
Okay.
Will any of you commit to trying this?
I will
Sounds like a
commit
lot
to
of work.
Sean trying it.
I want to. I may forget about it by the time I'm home again, but I like the idea.
And now, Daria, you're a dear friend, colleague.
Okay. Yes.
You handmade key lime pie by squeezing key limes, and you're telling me peanut butter popcorn is too much work?
Peanut butter takes a while to clean up. It sticks to all my stuff. I hate cleaning it up.
I mean, you got a dishwasher now.
Yeah, the dishwasher does not get the peanut butter. You got to scrape all the peanut butter off thoroughly before putting it in the dishwasher.
Sounds like you don't have a good dishwasher.
Somebody try it and report back. We're almost done. We still have a Friday song, and we got some wrap up here. 440-546-2255. It's Follow Up Friday.
Pursue your passion for shepherding, teaching, and ministry leadership with a Master of Divinity from Moody Theological Seminary. New for fall of 2025. Earn the same world-class degree in a shorter amount of time. We've reduced credit hours to earn a degree while maintaining the quality and course content essential for effective ministry. Need flexibility? Take classes online or on our Chicago or Michigan campuses. Even interchange between all options on a class-by-class basis. Get started at moody.edu/MDiv.
This new year, keep your commitment to study the Bible with help from Today in the Word. Our January devotional is Glory to God, a study in Galatians. Devotional author and Moody Bible Institute professor Kelly Worrell returns to help you stay in the Word every day. Sign up for the daily email or download the free Today in the Word app. Go to todayintheword.com to make 2025 the year you keep your commitment. A year filled with God's Word.
At Moody, we want you to know that all this solid biblical teaching and guidance can come from any of your devices anytime. If you just take the time right now to download the Moody Radio app, you'll carry good news wherever you go. There are tons of new features, which is why we call it Moody Radio's all-in-one app experience. It's easy to use and free. So you don't forget, download the app right now at moodyradio.org.
Bringing Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania closer to Christ, one conversation at a time. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio, Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian.